So in the context of cable assembly, you'll run across terms such as UL listed and UL recognized. When you see the term UL recognized, it's usually referring to raw components that make up part of something larger. So things like wire and cable, connector systems, terminals, board components, all of those might bear the UL recognized component marking. Where you're going to see UL listed markings are typically on things that are completed top-level assemblies, things like consumer goods. The main difference between these two is how UL performs the testing. UL can only list a product if they're able to test the specific function that the item was designed to perform. Things like components carry a UL recognized marking because they have a general purpose and UL is not able to know every single application or environment in which that item could be installed in. Both of these terms can also be used to apply to raw wire and cable, which at first seems to not make very much sense because you would think of wire and cable as being a component, something part of something larger. Material that bears a UL recognized mark may just be tested for a certain general set of environmental conditions. It indicates that the material has been tested for general purpose safety. Wire and cable that bears a UL listed mark means that it has been tested for a specific application and environment. So here we have a few different cable spool types and they all bear different UL markings. The first one has this backwards RU symbol, which indicates that this is a UL recognized component. It's not listed. It's suitable for general purpose use. It hasn't been tested for specific environmental hazards. These two over here do have the logo that people are more familiar with, the actual UL symbol. Anytime you see a UL symbol, that means it's an actual listed product, which means it has been tested for specific hazards. So what's at stake if you don't choose wire and cable that has a UL rating? From a safety standpoint, there's issues with potential fire hazards. The other reason why choosing UL recognized or listed cable and materials in general is a good idea is because it makes it a lot easier to obtain UL listing for your finished product. Multi-Tek offers a UL recognized component certification for finished cable assemblies, which makes it a lot easier to obtain a UL listing for your product. But in order to be able to offer this, we have to be able to document and prove to UL that all of the components in that cable assembly are either UL recognized or listed. One of the consequences of not choosing UL recognized components in your cable assembly are when it comes time to have UL perform the testing on your finished assembly, they might end up performing additional tests that they wouldn't have done otherwise if all of the components had been UL recognized. So when it comes to hookup wire selection, we usually like to steer people into one of three different UL wire types. The first one is UL 1061, which is the thinnest insulation. It's rated for 300 volts and 80 degrees C. A medium insulation is a UL 1569. That's also rated for 300 volts, but it carries a 105 degrees C rating. At the high end, you have the very thick insulation UL 1015, which is rated for 105 C at 600 volts. When it comes to jacketed multi-conductor cable, the most commonly used is AWM, which is appliance wiring material, type 2464. This is a good general purpose cable. It is UL recognized. It's not a listed product. All wire and cable that has the recognized component certification symbol on it, the backwards RU, has been tested for flame retardancy. There are more stringent standards available, and those can easily be differentiated between the recognized component type cables. Additional flame retardancy above and beyond standard AWM recognized component cable and wire is going to be necessary if your cable is going to either be installed in a plenum or riser environment, or if it's going to be used as the power cable for your assembly. Lifespan and expectancy is not so much of a consideration when it comes to choosing a particular UL type, but it is important when you're looking at what type of environment the cable is going to be installed in. That's where it gets critical. You might need FT1, you might need FT4 for flame retardancy. It all depends on what type of environment the cable assembly is going to be installed in. Having your finished cable assembly UL recognized is generally a good idea, even if you don't have plans to have your finished product UL listed, because it gives you traceability and shows that your supplier has used genuine components throughout the entire build. When you're looking at choosing a jacketed multi-conductor cable, it's always a good idea to go with cable that has a UL listing versus just having the UL recognized component mark, because that means it's been tested and suitable for a specific environment. Just make sure that the listing that it carries actually matches the environment that you're going to be installing the cable in. For example, UL 817 is the standard for power cord sets. Choosing UL 817 rated cable would not make any sense for any application other than designing a power cord set. Finding information about all of the specific UL wire and cable styles is kind of difficult and somewhat disjointed. So if you have any questions, contact your cable assembly supplier or give us a call, and we'll be happy to help you out.